Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Zach Young, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're joined by Amir Muradali, a career and leadership coach who transforms stuck and overlooked professionals into indispensable, in-demand leaders through strategic guidance and personal branding. With experience as a senior business transformation consultant at IBM Canada and expertise in leadership development, change management, and workshop facilitation, Amir helps mid to senior professionals reclaim their potential, land exciting opportunities, and accelerate career growth. His approach empowers clients to push boundaries, develop resilience, and achieve breakthroughs in business and personal leadership. Amir, a very, very warm welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you for having me, Zach. It's great to be here to talk to you.
Absolutely. Going to be a great episode. A lot to dive into. Before we do, I do like to start with your background, though. I know we touched on it a little bit, but just before what you're doing now, could you walk us through what were you doing previously and what was really your inspiration to get into this space?
Yeah, actually, the plan was never to be a coach. The plan was always to be an engineer. That's what I started off with in my career. I just loved engineering. I love problem solving. It was always the plan. But, growing up in Africa, that was what I set my sights on, which is what I set my goal on. When I moved to Canada, got into engineering, went through the bachelor's and master's program and got a pretty good job in engineering research and loved it. But I noticed something was a little bit off for me in terms of there was a gap in understanding how the world worked, so to speak, economically, right? Financially, how did it work? Because I loved doing the engineering work. I just didn't know what was the thing that triggered the engineering work. Anyways, so I decided to go into my MBA, and after my MBA, when I was switching over to do business, that's when something really interesting happened. And by the way, I also experienced a little bit of this when I graduated from my engineering program. I had a difficult time getting a job, and the job search that I went through, even in engineering, what I experienced was something very interesting, because here I had somebody who had had invested a lot into myself, into my career, into my education, but I could not even get a job. And I found myself at this place, in this very lonely place, where I'm thinking, what now? Like, what if I don't get a job? Like, this is insane. And so I remember going through it. Fortunately, I ended up getting a job in engineering, but when I was switching over to business, that was a totally different story, because I applied to a bunch of jobs, could not get an interview. And I was probably one of the few in my class, in my cohort in business school, who could not get an interview or who wasn't getting a job. And I thought to myself, here I was getting this really amazing MBA, great school, very expensive. And if I don't get a job, like, what are my options, right? Like, and sure, I could go back to engineering, but at the end of it, I thought, like, just long term for myself, my future, I felt very vulnerable. I could not control anything about my career if I didn't know how to figure this out. And what I noticed, just again, this comes from the love of engineering. What I realized at that time, this is something that's a natural skill for me, is I problem solve. And I realized, okay, this is a problem. It's a real problem. I just need to find a way to solve it. And, I know you've had career coaches on this podcast before, and, they talk about all sorts of important things, right? Like, how do you get your LinkedIn? How do you resume and interviews and all that stuff? And that's all great. And by the way, I had career counseling career counselors to help me get my job after my business degree, but even they couldn't help me. And what I realized is that, I could solve a million problems, or I could go right to the root, go back to first principles and solve the basic problems, right? Like, let's start at the basic principles. What I realized is that I knew I had value to offer. I just it just wasn't coming through in my interviews. It wasn't coming through in my, forget interviews. I wasn't even interviewing. It wasn't coming through in my paper, like on my resume. And because it's business school, all the like the school administrators, they tend to favor like the best, the brightest, the best brightest, and I wasn't among one of them. But they tend to put the shiny candidates in front of the employers first. And so because I wasn't one of them, I thought, okay, well, this is sort of my fate. Like I'm not going to be able to have the kind of career that I want. But I'm like, nonetheless, I may not be shiny, I may not be bright, but I know I have value to offer. I just need leaders to be able to see it. So I went back to first principles, figured this out, and within 3 months, I had two executives in two different companies fighting to hire me. And not only that, they created jobs for me, and they would not take no for an answer. And they were throwing money at me and basically saying, "What can we do to bring you on board?" And I thought, going from a place where I could not even get an interview to having this kind of an experience, this was odd. This was unbelievable. In fact, one of those executives basically told me, he's like, because I told him I had another offer, and he's like, "Tell me who the other offer is from. I'm gonna give you 10 reasons why you shouldn't take them and why you should take mine." So that level of conviction, I remember feeling it, and I'm like, this is really interesting. This is odd. Maybe it's just a one-time deal. I got a job. I was happy. But then what happened after that is over eight years, I kept getting jobs created for me. I kept getting leaders, wanting to work with me. And it's not because I was applying for jobs or any of that stuff. Like it was just through conversation. And over the 8 years, I ended up, basically having jobs created for me, even when I wasn't looking, even when I didn't want any, and I quadrupled my income. And I reached that milestone age at 40, and I thought, okay, time for a change. And right around that time, like we had our first child, and so and my wife is a very successful business lady. She's an optometrist. She's got multiple clinics, and her business was starting to take off. And I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to go off and work, this is going to be very difficult. My kids are not going to get to know me, and obviously my wife needs my support as well. So I decided, okay, I could either go to that senior director job that I was offered when I hit 40, or I could go and try to help people with this. It'll be a massive pay cut, but at least I would be able to help people get the kind of outcomes that I got. So that's what started the journey into this era, and that was 12 years ago. And over the years, I built courses, sold courses to people. I just noticed, like, and it was great. Everyone loved it. They loved they loved going through the material, but nobody was getting results, and that bothered me. And then that's when I was introduced to high ticket coaching through Russ Ruffino, who you've had on this podcast. And through Russ Ruffino, I was able to understand how to create a program that can really create the kinds of transformations that I know people can get. And it's been 4 or 5 years that I've been with him, and learning from Russ Ruffino and just building this coaching practice. And it's a big part of my time has gone towards building a program first that I know that I'm confident that is actually delivering the kind of transformations that I want, because this is quite these are it's a quite unique transformation. I'm getting people to go from being invisible to having leaders fight for them, which is very unusual for a career kind of an offer. It's typically, "Hey, I can help you get a few interviews, I can help you get a job," that kind of stuff. But when my clients work with me after they get a job, it's not just the job that they get that changes their life. It's the career trajectory. They're on an entirely new career trajectory. My clients, two of my clients got promotions within the first 2 years.
Mm.
and this is into senior level leadership roles. And it's not even just the promotions that they get, it's the level of affinity and affection that they get from their leaders. That's really that it's life changing. And
Mm.
so the long story short, so that's sort of how I got into this, and what keeps me going in this business is to watch the transformations that my clients are going through, but not only
Mm.
that, but to actually see the kinds of problems that my clients end up solving for leaders and executive leaders. And given what's going on right now in the market, I sort of, it feels like I'm solving problems for not just people, but also leaders, because
Mm.
they need people, they need good people. And with all the demographic shifts and AI initiatives sort of like going bust, they need good people around them. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's what keeps me doing what I do and how I got into this. And long story short, this is where I am now.
I love it. Quite the journey, but you are always your best first client,
That
right?
is true.
And
Yeah.
that is obviously so true with your story. You mentioned, just started with courses, then you started working with Russ, like you mentioned, to build out the program. It's been a couple years now. Can you walk us through what does working with Amir look like today? Just walk us
Yeah.
through kind of how you structure your work with your clients, everything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So I take my clients through a four-step process over 12 weeks. And this four-step process really again dives deep into the core transformation that my clients need to go through in order to become the kinds of people that leaders want around them, right? And so let me just start off first with the overall outcome and the end goal of what we're trying to do. The end goal of what we're trying to do here is to be able to give leaders, or to create certainty in leaders. Leaders need certainty about who they're going to bring into their circle, especially if this is mid to senior level roles. These are not insignificant roles. These are pretty significant roles. There's a lot of accountabilities, a lot of trust placed into these individuals. And when leaders feel certain about who they're bringing into their circle, they can feel that much more certain about striving for whatever aspirational goals and strategic goals that they're going for. And so that's our ultimate goal, is to be able to help leaders create certainty. In order to do that, what I have to do is what my clients have to do, and this is a process that very few people go through, is we go through a deep discovery process. So the first step is to uncover their unique value. We go through a clarity process where we understand what is the unique, what is that golden thread that has delivered successes, that has been the responsible factor in delivering successes for my clients. So we always think about people looking at, okay, well, tell me what your past accomplishments are, and that sort of gives us an idea of what your future what you can do in the future. And even some people mistake the idea of like, well, I've got all these past accomplishments, so therefore I deserve to have this job. That's not the way leaders think. What leaders want is, help me understand how you're going to show up in my world. I want to be able to predict what you're going to do, how you're going to show up, and what can I expect? What kind of outcomes can I expect from you? When leaders have certainty about that, they have certainty about the individual. And for us to be able to do that, what we do is we actually explore, for every individual that comes in, we explore their personal experiences, their personal formative experiences, their professional formative experiences, but we also look at what their natural strengths and instincts are. So it's sort of like a formula. It's, what you're born with, what you went through in life on your own, and also what you learned on the job and in school. So based on all of those three, we look at all those formative experiences, sort of connect the dots and find what that unique thread is. And what we usually find, what we discover, and this has been for every client that I've worked with so far, is once they understand that, it opens up not just their career, but it opens up their life. Everything starts to make sense for them. It's sort of that answer of it's answering their why, you know. And just to give an example, like one of my clients, he great project manager, but did not like project management. And he wanted to he wanted to move to senior level leadership. But once we uncovered what his unique value was. What we did the data, we pulled out all the evidence, we did the analysis, we discovered that his unique value was he's great at bringing people together so that they deliver amazing. And he's been doing that ever since he was a child. And so no wonder he's great at project management, right? And so once he figured this out, it's just opened up his world for him because now he's an executive leadership position and in a company that needs that unique value. So that's the first step is once we uncover this unique value, it's very, very powerful. It answers a lot of questions for people, for us, right? Because we always want to know like why, like what are we here to do, what's our purpose. Well, this process uncovers that for people. So that's the first step. The second step is once we know what the unique value is, then we need to understand how and where is it needed. How is it needed in the corporate world? How is it needed, or where is it needed when it comes to leaders? And this is where having the background of working with leaders and organizations and consulting and having my MBA helps me understand, because I've been able to break down companies and understand leaders to such a degree where I can like I've developed a framework where I can help people understand and place where their unique value fits. Now, this is different from actually finding the perfect role and job description, because there's no job description here that you can find that ideally fits your unique value. What we understand, what we look for is again going beyond what's visible to really understand, okay, what are those core problems that line up with your unique value. So that's the second step. Once we understand the where that unique what the unique value is and where it's needed, then the third step is what I call building the lean messaging system. So that's building out your communication. So this is how to message yourself in a very effective, lean way where we can take a leader who you've never met from indifference to conviction. I mean, indifference meaning I don't know you and I don't care, to conviction meaning I can't go another day without you. And how do we do that in record time? I've had clients do this in minutes. Like that client that I had, the project manager, he was able to do this in about 5 minutes. And because it's very clear, like leaders know when they're sitting in front of authenticity, and they understand when they're sitting in front of somebody who understands their truth, knows their truth, and it's believable. And that's the biggest thing is like once leaders know it's believable, it changes everything for them. So that's the purpose of the lean messaging system, is to prepare your messaging in a way that leaders are able to get it quickly. And maybe, if it doesn't take 5 minutes, because in some cases, it's just very few cases, it takes minutes. In other cases, it's like, okay, well, maybe they just want to understand you a little bit better. So understand your stories, see what's on paper, see what's online, what have you. So it's just organizing all that messaging. So that's the third step. And the fourth step is campaigning. Now, campaigning is not like networking. Campaigning is still looks like networking, but it's reaching out to people, speaking with them, and but it's speaking with them about something other than I need a job or what have you. It's like it's not about what I need, it's about the problem. It's shining the light on the problem that my unique value solves, right? So it's focused around a need, and it's engaging leaders in a conversation around that need that helps open up doors for, okay, well, I think we can do something here. I think we can do something there. This is sort of how I was able to have jobs and opportunities created for me, even when I wasn't looking, is because I would engage leaders in conversation and they'd be like, you'd be perfect for, let me just hang on a second. Let me call my executive vice president here. And right on the phone, like I'm in the middle of conversation, they get on the phone, call executive vice president. Yeah, they'll meet with you, go talk to them after, and within a day or two, I have another job offer and I have to decline it because I wasn't looking. And it's just one of those things that once you are in a place where you understand yourself, you understand leaders, and you can communicate the need well, you can communicate your value, and you can direct that value to the need. It just opens up tons of doors and tons of opportunities.
Yeah. Then you have the problem where you have too many job offers. You got to make
Exactly.
some people step on that taking them. Good problem
Exactly.
to have.
Yeah, and that actually introduces a second problem, which is how do you turn down a leader, especially a senior level leader, who is convinced that they need you? Because I did
Mm.
that and it sucked. Like it sucked balls, dude. It was not good. It was not good. Turning down someone who's very powerful who says, I want you, you need to come work for me. That was not fun. But
Mm.
once you understand how to do it elegantly,
Yeah.
it's manageable.
There you
Let's
go.
just put it that way.
Manageable.
Yeah.
Looking at the back end of the business for a
Yeah.
second. How are your clients currently finding you to work with you?
So right now I'm just doing paid ads, a paid ads funnel. So it's a very basic funnel. It's with the Russ Ruffino model. It's ads going to a webinar, and from the webinar, people book a call with me. And in the whole purpose of the webinar and the funnel is to introduce a new way of thinking for folks, because I want to make sure that, and this has been a challenging part of my business up
Mhm.
until recently, is how do I differentiate what I do compared to what other career coaches do? And not necessarily to separate myself from other career coaches, because I think every career coach out there who's doing any work in this area, helping people with their careers, I think that's phenomenal work. It's blessed work. But the challenge comes for clients and for the audience who has this blanket understanding of what career coaches are and what they do. So just building a messaging, building a funnel that helps them understand a little bit better about what's possible. That's
Mm.
what helps me. That's what attracts my clients. That's
Yeah.
what I used to attract my clients. Sorry. And so it's paid ads funnel. I am planning, and you can see this whole setup that I have right here because I'm planning on going on podcasts. So your invite came at a perfect time, and I want to go on podcasts starting like in this coming year. And the reason I want to do that is because I also wrote a book, and it's up on Amazon, and I want to be able to give put this knowledge and frameworks and insight into people's hands.
Mm.
And so that's another part of my mission is to spread the word, to give people hope
Yeah.
in a very difficult, very uncertain time right now with all AI and everything that's going on.
Yeah. Very
Um,
true.
I think there's a lot of possibility. I believe that the future is bright, despite what a lot of smarter people than me are saying. And
Yeah.
I'll just claim ignorance in here, but I certainly believe that the future is bright because everywhere you look, businesses exist, and businesses not like not every business is going to be run by AI. Entirely by AI. You're still going to need people. You're still going to need judgment. You're still going to need people making good decisions.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of what I want to give people is hope that they can still build something that is reliable, secure for themselves, and get the kinds of greenfield opportunities that I and my clients have been able to
Mm.
get.
Mm. We need some more light in the
Yeah.
job market in that. So I love that goal. So I mean, you got the funnel down, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
I got to say, like you said, I've had a lot of career coaches on. You're at the top of the list when it comes to when it comes to client acquisition. Not a lot of people have that figured out. So good job
Right.
there.
Oh, thank you.
I'm curious, do you have a team working with you, or are you kind of a one man show?
Right now, I'm a one-man show, but the plan is to build a team. So that's the other part of the equation that I've been working because one of the things that one of my bottlenecks has been the fulfillment end, because I want
Mm.
to make sure that my fulfillment is structured in a way that I can actually bring additional coaches into my team to help support more clients. And then as I have more coaches, then I can bring in more sales folks to help me with my sales team,
Nice.
to connect with and to bring on to enroll people. So that is certainly the plan to go down that way.
Hmm.
But I figured out the fulfillment side. Working on right now, my biggest bottleneck is lead generation because of all the changes, with Facebook and Andromeda and LinkedIn and all like the algorithms keep changing. So it's just okay. How do I do this? How do I figure this out in such a way that I can create something that is sustainable? and can give me a repeatable or reliable source of leads.
Mhm.
Um, and then just going on podcast. This is another way for me to connect with people. And I was
Yeah.
watching another one of your episodes, and I believe is the fish market guy who was talking about it's, we're in a state where it's not about the attention economy, it's a trust economy,
Mm.
and very wise words. And he's absolutely right. Like, people, it's very difficult to know who you can trust out in this market right now. So yeah, so that's my next, that's this thing that I have to figure out now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's part of the process, right? But
exactly.
like when you were just trying to get a job out of college, you figured that out. You'll figure this out as
Yeah,
well. Excuse me. That's for sure. Perfect.
yeah,
Amir, we talked about the future a little bit, right?
yeah.
Growing the sales team, more podcasts, the book. Are there any other goals, let's say for 2026, you've set for yourself in the business you're looking to achieve?
I do have my goal. It's a revenue goal. I have a certain revenue goal that I have in mind that I want to hit, because that is going to be sort of my trigger point to know where I am, whether or not I'm ready to scale to that next level. And so that's really my goal for next year. And my revenue point from a business perspective, the entire business perspective, is 60 grand per month. That's that point where I can comfortably and confidently bring additional people in and hire people of my own, right? So
Nice.
I go from helping people get jobs to now hiring people, which is it's a blessing in and of itself, right? Just to be
Yeah.
able to do this. So that is my goal, is just to be able to get that hit that income goal on a monthly basis before I can bring and expand, or bring people onto my team and expand my company and scale up.
Yeah. Great goal
Yeah.
to have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amir, pleasure having you on. Where can the listeners find you? Where can they connect with you online?
Lots of places. So first of all, they can just Google me, Amir Muradali, and you'll find everywhere. You'll find my LinkedIn. You'll find me on Instagram. Right now, they can go to my website, tcxworkshopnow.com, which is where I host my webinar, and they can get access to it and register for it. They can also find me on Amazon. Just search for Elevate by Amir Muradali, and they can find my book and grab a copy of this. A lot of my best insights of what I do with my high ticket clients is in this book, anyways.
Mm,
So that's a great place to get quick insights for themselves. So yeah, best place, just Google, enter my name, and they'll find all sorts of links.
perfect. A lot of good stuff there to find. Amir, pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Zach. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And that will wrap up another inspiring episode of The Founder's Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go and connect with me on all of his social media, his websites. Be sure to check out that book on Amazon as well. All of those links will be in the show notes and description down below. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're looking to scale your business, and you really want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we went from 0 to 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.